you know, the average person who's maybe lives in the ghetto or lives poor or lives out in the country, they're hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. They need somebody to give them some sense. There's very little of them.
On the short term, it's a political ploy by those who see this as a new constituency. But I think looking at it as Christians, we have to look at it with a prophetic view and see that this is bigger than just the United States. All over the world, there's a drive by the likes of George Soros and his Open Society Initiative and other globalists who want to break down national borders. That's why there's such a resistance to the UK leaving the European Union. Why there was such resistance to Donald Trump getting America out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the TTIP, which is the Atlantic version of it. And now NAFTA is on the table, the North American Free Trade Agreement, because the globalists want to take us back to Babel, back to that original one world government that God put a stop to back in the days of Nimrod.
Yeah.
That's what the globalists want. They're trying to take us back to Babel.
Yeah. Yes.
Did you know that the World Bank dictates to countries how to run their ports?
No.
The World Bank
Yes. Yeah.
tells countries how to run their ports. In fact, the most recent rule change from the World Bank to all the countries was you have to privatize your ports. We don't want the governments running the ports. We don't want the cities running the ports. We want them private. I believe it's because the World Bank can more easily control them if they're private.
That's right.
The World Bank lends money to third world and developing countries and essentially coerces them into following rules. But the first world countries are also following those same World Bank rules. Ports mean commerce.
Yes.
Right.
If you can control the flow of goods, you can control
Right.
the people.
That's right.
Oh, and in prophecy, Revelation 18, Mystery Babylon's trade sent across the
Right.
ocean
Exactly.
to ports.
The World Bank is flying under the radar. Very few people pay attention to the news. Start noticing what the World Bank is doing.
Well, and
Follow the
another
money.
thing that
Follow
concerns
the
me, Sharon, both you and Jim said that this word suddenly has been stuck in your head. And privatizing the ports could have ramifications as to what is coming on those ships and being brought into the U.S.
Yes.
And with your background in molecular biology, it concerns me that some of this prophecy could also be fulfilled through bioterrorism.
And the other aspect of this is something that we were watching 10 years ago when I was hosting the talk show up in Columbia, Missouri, the inland ports, the idea that
Exactly. It's more than just the coasts.
Yes.
there's an inland port in Kansas City. There's
Right.
one. They were setting one up in Decatur, Illinois.
That was all part of NAFTA.
Right. That they can basically bypass customs at the border and put something on from a container ship onto a train in Mexico and then run it all the way up into Kansas City and then distribute it from there.
Oh, my.
Now, that was the
Trans-Texas
plan.
corridor
The Trans-Texas corridor, right.
Well, and this, in fact, I brought one with me.
Let's do some biohacking.
A CRISPR gene knockout kit through a bio lab. What can you use that? Well, you could create strains of bioweapons that have never existed in history. Furthermore, you could, at the germline level, rewrite the genetic makeup of any living thing.
Using gene drive.
Yes.
Using gene drive.
The UK is doing that now with rats.
But see, this is today, or this week, this is being discussed at the United Nations because of DARPA wanting to invest tons of taxpayer dollars
$100 million.
into the development of gene drive technology, which they say is so terrifying in terms of its scope that this is a technology that should never even be allowed to exist, let alone to be weaponized. Of course, DARPA, the Pentagon, they're saying they have to do it because China and Russia are already developing it, and we can't allow them to get ahead of us in this game. But
Gene drive technology is eugenics, nothing more than eugenics.
when it's applied to modifying humans, but it could also modify organisms
Exactly.
for new strains of weaponized bio-terrors, right?
Exactly.
That could-
We'd have no
that could-
weakness against it, no way to
No
fight against it.
defense.
We have no defense. None.
Even the flu. We're worried about the flu already.
Yes. Right.
I mean, this sounds like the plot
There-
of a Stephen King novel or
Yeah.
movie,
It
but
should.
this is actually happening and taking place. And government officials who are involved in this are saying this is terrifying, but we can't not do it because, as Tom said, the Chinese and the Russians are working on this, so we have to do. This is what Colonel McGinnis writes about in the
Yeah.
book Future War,
Right.
about how this technology is not just being used to create super soldiers; it is literally transforming, or has the potential to transform, what it means to be human.
Right.
Yes.